Hi guys. So this is going to be a short one, right? But anyway, have you ever asked yourself that, like how is my thought process like? Like how do I think? What are the values that guide the things that I think about or the way that I analyze things that happen in my life? Like when an issue comes, how do I analyze it? How do I think? What's the foundation of my thought pattern, my thought process? Like what values guide my life? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Anyway, that's what I'm going to be talking about today. This is like what now? Self-awareness 101. Anyway, so just stay with me, okay? Hi again. Hi. My name is Eniola. Welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about a lot of things, practical steps to living purposeful relationships, and also guidelines to living growth-centered single lives. Like as a Christian, how do we live our lives in a way that we are growing practically and we're applying the practical what now guidelines that the Bible has given us. All of that. So yeah, thank you for stopping by. So today, I want to talk about something much different than like something different from what I usually talk about. And I mean, it just crossed my mind that do we actually think about what the foundation of our thought pattern or thought process is like? Right. So, for example, I would liken our thought pattern or thought process, to like a building, right? So, have you come across definitely if you live in Nigeria, you definitely come across an uncompleted building before, right? So like an uncompleted building has like blocks and like sand and all of that, that they used to like create build the building, right? Yeah. So that's kind of like how your mindset is like, it's made up of tiny values and a couple of other things, right, that now guides your thought process, guides your thought pattern, guides how you analyze situations, how you talk to people, how you handle things that are important, right? Even when you don't like consciously think about something, that mindset that you have already created, that has been structured in your mind, it guides everything. You might not realize it consciously, but it guides every single thing about you, right? So like as a young person, most of the time I found out like that this mindset of a thing, it actually creeps up on you. What do I mean? So for example, um I went to boarding house, right? And you can imagine my shock, when I left boarding house, I got into university and I found out that I was going to start living on my own, start handling life matters and everything. And I realized that there was a way that I started to do things. And that was when it occurred to me that whether I liked it or I did not like it, all the things that had happened to me in the past, right, had influenced the way that I thought, the way that I spoke, the way that I handled situations, the way that I did a lot of things, right? And that was the mindset I had at that point. Like that was the structure in my mind. That was how I would judge a situation. That was how I would speak to somebody. That was how I would handle anything at all. That was how I would plan my day, go to class. Like it's like that is what is that is what makes our that's what makes us authentic people, right? That's what makes our personalities authentic, right? So that's what makes us authentic people. That's what guides our thought process and everything. But my point here is that whether I liked it or I did not like it, I had grown a mindset and I was living with it. And guess what? The world did not care whether I had the opportunity to grow the mindset in a great way or not. So the world did not care whether I had a good mindset or not. But as a human being, I had responsibilities to both humanity and to myself. So what am I saying? Okay, I think I'm talking in parables. Let me break it down. Right. So my point here basically is whether life doesn't care what you've been through, right? Not because it's not relevant though, but life doesn't care what you've been through or the processes that you've gone through. If those things have deposited some level of toxicity in your life, you have to unlearn it. That's just it. Like, that's it. You have to unlearn it. So let me continue my story. Right. So I got into school, and then like I found out that I was independent, so to speak, but in house now. You have to fight for your rights in quotes. So I had become independent. I could like, live on my own, but I was also very selfish. Very, very selfish, right? Everybody has an outcome of selfishness in them, but I don't know if it's just me, right? But I have a couple of friends that also went to boarding house, and I don't know, all of us turned out to be selfish anyway. But anyway, so like just the process of being in school, being away from family, like it just had a way of shaping you into something. And if by the time you grow up, when I say grow up, I mean like when your eye open, like when I entered school, you find out that you don't like what has happened, or you don't like what has been formed of you, right? Or you realize that there are some things that should not be there. It is up to you to unlearn it. You will not always have the opportunity of learning things from life. Like, life will not always have the opportunity to just teach you randomly. Some things you have to say that this thing, I want to learn it, right? Like this thing, I want to unlearn it. I think we know how to learn, like we know how to imbibe knowledge a lot, right? But we will not practice it. We know how to learn things, but we don't know how to unlearn them. We learn things sometimes unconsciously, involuntarily. That's why people get addicted to things, because they just take it, they like it the first time, and then they just find themselves taking it over and over and over again. But when it comes to unlearning, it's a very intentional and conscious process, and it is so necessary for you to grow. Like that's like one of the most major steps in self-awareness. Like, if you want to grow, you need to look at yourself and say, okay, what are the toxic things in my life and how can I unlearn them, right? So basically all I'm saying is you have to create for yourself an environment to unlearn the toxic things that the experiences of life have taught you, the toxic thought patterns that the experiences of life have made you have. You have to unlearn them. It is up to you to unlearn them. Let me give you a perfect example. So somebody maybe falls in love with a guy. Let's say a girl falls in love with a guy, she gives him her everything, and then he breaks her heart. Maybe he sleeps with her friend or something like that. She breaks her heart, and maybe guys do that to her like maybe 3 or 4 times consecutively, and then she's like, OMG, love does not exist, love is useless, this one, that one, can come. Yeah, you might have met people that have made you feel like love is useless, but love does exist, and beautiful relationships exist. And if you do not unlearn that toxic mindset that the lessons or the experiences of life have kind of given to you on a platter of gold, you will not experience the true joy of being in an actual relationship. Even when you now find an actual relationship, you will be so afraid to trust the person. You will be so afraid to be vulnerable. You will not experience the entire thing, So like, yeah, I hope that's a perfect example. Yeah, it is, I think. So anyway, like for me, what did I have to unlearn? I had to unlearn being controlling. I had to unlearn. I'm still unlearning tons of things. Trust me. Like, it's not going to be something that you just come and say, "Oh, I finished." It doesn't work like that. Like it's a process, right? So don't think that if you say you want to unlearn something within 2 days, you've unlearned it. It doesn't. Sometimes it takes as long as 2 years, 3 years. It took me 2 years to unlearn being controlling, and to be honest, I am still working on some portions of it, because it's not easy. It's very easy. Like, habits are easy to collect. It's not easy to give. There's this thing that I always say. If you've watched my videos for long, you might have noticed it. I'll talk, then I'll now say, right, like, right, and then I'll now talk and I'll say, right. I learned that thing from my boss, unconsciously, but I don't even know how to stop. You get? So like, things will just creep up on you. That's what I mean by sometimes things in life just creep up on you and you don't even know how to handle it. Like it just creeps up on you. You just realize that you don't accommodate people, you're not forgiving. You just realize that you don't trust people anymore because people have done things to you in the past. It's fine, right? People might have done things to you in the past, but that does not mean that everybody is like that, right? Like a friend of mine always tells me that Eniola, you're too trusting, Eniola, you're too what's the word? Eniola, you're too trusting, you give people clean slates easily. And well, that was something I had to learn how to do because before I'm the kind of person that I will store all your offenses in my book and be writing your name. But thank you, Jesus, I have changed. Right? But you have to unlearn the things that life has taught you because you don't deserve to live in a cage that life creates for you. You don't deserve it, and it is up to you to be intentional about it. Just decide that you want to do it, right? It's not that difficult. See, when it comes to self-awareness, a lot of people think self-awareness, I have to go and buy a book or get a coach. Yeah, you might want to get a coach. A coach would help you, but to be honest, some of these things you can actually take the first step yourself because really it's a choice and a decision that you have to make. And once you make that choice and you make that decision, you just need a little bit of push and you get to where you're going to. Right. So first step, take a pen and paper, just write down what have I learned from life, from my experiences, what have my experiences taught me, and then take a look at them and use the Bible, use the knowledge of the Holy Spirit to actually take the things that are useful and the things that are not useful. The ones that are not useful, plan to unlearn them, begin to unlearn. So the ones that are not useful, plan to unlearn them. Just begin to unlearn them. You can do it. You can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. I mean, like, these things are not easy to do, but there are things that can be done if you actually want to do them. It's up to you to make the choice, make the decision. What's that thing again? And they said there are 3 C's in life. Make the choice to make the something, or your life will never change. The point is that if you don't, life is filled with choices. If you don't make a choice to do something, you probably won't experience any type of change. And if you really want to be that model person, or like, I know you look up to people and you say, oh, I want to be like this person. Oh no, this is my mentor. Oh no, I want to do this, I want to do that. If you really want to imbibe those habits or those values that they have, you have to unlearn some things. You cannot be trying to learn to, you saying you want to try to be kind is you saying that you want to get rid of maybe getting angry easily, or maybe being unkind, like being unhelpful, right? Is you saying you want to love others more, right? So I mean, you can do all things, right? So thank you. I know I said this was going to be short. I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know. I planned to talk for like 5 minutes or 2 minutes. Anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. It was really, really beautiful. By the way, I didn't see anything on my scripts. I don't know. This happens. This has been happening more often anyway. But thank you for watching. Thank you for coming over. Don't forget to share my video with your friend. Don't forget to subscribe. Yeah, that's important. Don't forget to subscribe. Very, very important. And I will be on next week to talk about something. Actually, I will be on next week to talk to you about a topic that is really dear to my heart: how love is supposed to look like in a relationship. Oh my God, it's going to be so sweet. So please, I might change my mind too, because anything can happen, right? But please turn your notification buttons on. Thank you for coming over. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe. Subscription is very important. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.